pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Minutes are recorded to aid in their preparation. Approval of the minutes for November 4th, 2015.
Make a motion to accept the minutes for November 4th, 15.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for November 4th, 2015. Any discussion? All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I abstain because I wasn't here. Visitors?
None. Unless you're moving these gentlemen up. Mr. Johnson said he has nothing to say. Ed didn't sign in, so I didn't even think. Ed, do you have any? Okay, Ed has no comments, and we have the operators.
Okay, well then we'll just go down through our professional staff as we got a sequenced here. Let's go with the engineer's report.
Okay, everybody has a copy of the report I sent out? Is that all right? All right, basically two items to talk about, and first being the Sunshine Hills water system. On October 28th, 2015, I guess DEP made a final where they entered into the consent order agreement with the authority. And from that point on, we had, in some cases, 30 days, and in some other cases, additional time beyond that 30 days to complete some of those items covered in the consent order. One of the items was that we needed to have the flow restrictor in place. So we contacted Eichelberger's and had made arrangements of having them come out, take a look at the well to install a flow restrictor through numerous communications between Eichelberger's and Mr. Holman III and other people in DEP. We kind of decided on being the availability of a fixed orifice flow restrictor and having some other meeting the flow requirements and some other conditions. We didn't see that it was going to be very viable, and I had contacted DEP, Mr. Nesmith, and talked to him about that. He said to go ahead if we wanted to. We talked about butterfly valve, ball valve, that type of device to restrict the flow. He had told me to go ahead and submit the information to them, and they would evaluate that. And as a result of our conversations and talking to Eichelberger's, and they couldn't come up with any suitable alternative to meet the DEP requirements, we settled on the ball valve, and I went ahead and forwarded that information some time ago. And then, as a result of a conversation I had with Mr. Tom Shaw from DEP yesterday late afternoon, DEP had decided that they would not accept the ball valve as the means for restricting the flow. They want a fixed orifice. It went to the point with Mr. Shaw that I told him we were having difficulty in finding something that would be suitable. He said he would talk to another staff member, Mike Hess, who is the engineer that's responsible for reviewing the authority's permit submissions and things like that. And he said he would get back to me. I didn't hear anything back from DEP as of today, and they didn't make a recommendation as what direction we should go in. However, in the process of waiting to talk to DEP and see what their recommendations were for a manufacturer and suitable for this type of application, I did run through some searches and found that we possibly may have stumbled upon something, because I've done many searches up to this point. I I'm still waiting for confirmation from the supplier to say, yes, this will work. And from what I could see is it's reasonable in cost. The only downside of that is it's made out of PVC. So anyway, the jury's still out. I'm waiting to get information. Hopefully I'll get something in the next day or two. Also, as a result of the consent order, I was telling DEP that we might have an issue in meeting the dates required because we only had the meter calibration yesterday, which would have been outside the 30 days. And the issue with the ball valve flow restrictor, we're still trying to get that settled. They did send an email out, and I think I forwarded it to all the authority members, where they will give us a time extension for the consent order, but they would like to know what the time extension is that we'd be requesting. And I talked to Mr. Shaw and told him we don't know that until we can find a suitable, acceptable flow restriction device, and then getting that ordered and installed. It might be a few weeks, it might be a couple months. So, but they have decided to approve the request for the time extension. So we need to find out exactly what can be installed and what is acceptable to DEP to go forward at this point, and then develop a schedule, for compliance and submit that to DEP.
Suggestion on my behalf.
Go ahead.
If there's space, which I'm not familiar with where this is going in there, if there is a reasonable amount of space in there, it may be to our best interest to turn around and create upon this tie-in a flange by flange area that we can put interchangeable spools to do something in there, okay? If we do have a malfunction, if you're going with a plastic valve, like you're saying, this thing fails, we need to have a replacement spool to replace that immediately so we can fall back on it.
Right.
Although it may not have the proper stuff, it would be a temporary thing to replace something. I do not like a piece of plastic in where this is going to be located.
I don't either. What we were looking at was stainless steel, 304 stainless.
Mm-hmm.
But with the type of, with that material and the sizes available, it's not going to meet the requirements.
Flanges are also a little bit easier to replace and upgrade or modify than what it would be putting threaded stuff and unions in it. But if we can, I would encourage us to go in that direction if it's possible.
And where this is going to be located at this point, we were going to locate it at well number 2 in that meter, in the well pit itself, which there's not a whole lot of room in there to work with.
That's what I kind of figured.
So
probably what I'm suggesting is might not be possible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It might be just as easy with a couple of nipples and a union and
right.
do what it is.
Right. So anyway, we got to find out what's available and then go from there and see how we can work that in to meet the requirements in the time frame that would be acceptable for DEP. The next thing is that Lawco Incorporated came out and tried to check out the meter, the existing water meter, which was another issue in the consent order, and calibrate it if they can. And what I just got the report, and I also forwarded this to the authority members, but in the report it says the 2015 annual ultrasonic certification showed meter not to meet AWWA and PUC standards for accuracy. Found meter to be fast, which means it was reading higher than what it should be. Calibration was not able to improve percentage of accuracy. The meter is obsolete. Recommend replacement and replumbing of the system to allow for more straight run of pipe before meter. So, in essence, they couldn't find. They found the meter not to be accurate, and it's going to need to be replaced because they couldn't do anything to fix it or recalibrate it. What it was they were running the test at 53 gallons a minute. They tested that meter and found out it was actually reading 62.5 gallons a minute, which is almost 18% high than what it should have been. So, in essence, when DEP came out and did their site inspection, the meter was reading higher than actually the flow rate going through the piping system. But that's good to know, but that's not going to really.
Not going to solve it.
It's not going to solve it.
The damage is done.
Yeah, the damage is done, and if you and we would still be over the threshold of the permitted flow rate through the pipe. So anyway,
Another suggestion would be, you had a discussion about where the water meter is located and the possibilities of problems there.
yeah,
Something that we may want to think about, since we're going to put this flow restrictor in down at the other end, it may be a better idea, maybe if we can, come up with a way that we have to put the water meter down there at that end. That'd be an issue.
well, the water meter wouldn't be able to be put in there because of space limitations, and plus you need so many straight runs for the meter.
I'm getting that, but what I'm trying to say is,
Right.
if we need to make adjustments, it may be easier to adjust down there than try to replace it where it's at.
It possibly may
Because
be.
that's fragile down in that hole.
Yeah, right.
I'd sooner place it where the new piping's been adopted, and it's easier to replace than what it is up in there.
Right.
If we have to put an extra building on top of the ground or bring stuff up or do something, I think it'd be a very good, it don't need to be a
Okay.
fancy building, it just needs to be something to bring it up out of the ground, put it there, keep it heated, keep it from being frozen, and make it a lot simpler.
Yeah.
If we got to, I don't care if it's just a little wooden storage shed that we adapt to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well,
we can look at even an in-ground meter pit. So, but I'd have to look to see what sizes. Like Mueller makes them, and you can even get like an insulation pad for those.
Well, we put a big pit in
Yeah,
up at Daimler's too.
and they're not
so-
too terribly expensive. But I don't know that they accept a 2-inch meter.
Would you put
But I-
that before the building?
Yeah. I'd have to look into that. The Mueller Hunt, I think, is the name. It's a Mueller company, but it's under Mueller Hunt, and they're thermal coils where you can get them, and there's coiled piping in there, and you have a lift, and they just come out, and you can read them and everything else. And then there's a pad that goes, it's like a 4-inch styrofoam pad that goes down into the meter pit that helps insulate that. But I don't know that they can accept 2-inch meters. But if we have to put a downsized meter in there, we do it, and that would help accommodate for give some friction loss, and help reduce the flow rate as well. So, from the pump.
I'm hesitant to go down in that hole and.
Yeah. Well, I understand.
Something you can't fix, you're going to wish you did.
Right.
I'm very familiar with that hole.
Yeah.
Spent some time down in there, so.
So, as a result of all that, and getting DEP approval, we still need to send in forms and engineer's design report and so forth. I brought those along for tonight, so we got to submit that information as part of these modifications. So I'm bringing that along.
With that discussion I had
Yep.
earlier here, just
Yep.
previous here, if I'm not mistaken, there is some suggestions that we do something with that pit anyhow.
There was, and I was going to get to that too.
Okay, so maybe we do need to make some adjustments all at the same time to save ourselves some grief.
Yeah.
We may be able to, this may be the time to do that.
Right.
Now that well pit.
And what I did is I brought this information packet along where I'm going to need your signature on there and date at this point, and then your name, and it's going to need to be notarized here. So whenever you can get that back to me, I know Helen's a notary, right?
Yeah, but she's off.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
And that's for, what's that?
That's for the information that we will need to submit to DEP, because they requested as part of the consent order that we do an application for any modifications. So what I'll do is if there's anything in the design engineer's report that I need to massage due to what we're going, I'll make those modifications, but I need you to sign the application form and have it notarized. Okay? In addition to all that, and I think I touched on this briefly before the meeting to some degree, is that I had that conversation with Mr. Shaw about 4-log piping and the connection of where our 4-log piping is. And I spoke to Mr. Chisholm earlier today and had told me that the 4-log connection for the entry point or your first sample point is after the 4-log piping as it's installed right now in the ground. And I adjusted my calculations to show that. And Mr. Shaw had just said that he just wanted to confirm that that was the case. So I generated another email, which I think everybody should have received, just summarizing that. And I even copied Ed because, Ed and I had that conversation. So that should no longer be an issue, and the calculations that I've completed I would be hoping that it would be acceptable to the DEP staff. So, getting back to this meter situation, based upon some direction Mr. Holman gave me a couple weeks ago, we were looking at possibly replacing the meter. And I talked to LB Water, and if we replace the 2-inch meter with a 2-inch census meter, which is the same manufacturer, what's there, there's two types that are available. There's a Census C2 compound omnimeter, and then there's a 2-inch Census T2 turbo omnimeter. The difference between the two is that the C2 is a little more accurate at the lower flows. For example, low flow, it registers about a quarter of a gallon per minute and goes up to a maximum intermittent of 200 gallons a minute. The T2 census meter measures, 1 gallon per minute low flow up to 250 gallons per minute. Maximum intermittent operation. I think that under the circumstances, if you wanted to capture all the low flow, which could possibly happen, you'd want to go with the C2. The C2 meter is about $1,600. The T2 is $1,200. Then they included an additional cost in here for some couplings to, in there that needed to be incorporated into the project. And then they included sales tax, which you would be exempt from. But, so you're looking maybe anywhere from $1,800 to about $1,400, and that without installation costs, just for the equipment. Okay?
Yes, Ed.
That's on the pump. There's no low flow. It's on what's pumping, not what's going out of the system.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you need to have a lot of particulars on low flow.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep, it's either going to flow or it's not going to flow.
Well, it's reading what the pump's pumping.
But when the pump's running, it's running. When it ain't, it ain't. So it's either
That's
moving
it.
or it ain't.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's that simple.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for $400 or $500, I don't see the.
Okay. Yep, that's a good point. I agree. So.
I'd also take the suggestion as the piping on feeding the meter as a suggestion from the company that was calibrating it. That meter's always been there. To change it around, you know what it's going to mean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm get Randy to tell you whether he thinks it really needs to be. Their suggestion that you need to have more straight flow before it comes into the meter is a nice suggestion. I'm done.
I'm going to say for the time being, we need to get the meter replaced and get DEP. We need, if not, then we got to move it outside that to the other end.
Yeah. Well,
Because that's pretty fragile down in there where all the piping's at. So what I'd like to do, if we pull the meter out of there and put a test pool, the spool piece in there, and move it somewhere else out of that danger zone, so to speak.
Typically on turbine meters of this type, they tell you need 10 pipe diameters upstream and 5 pipe diameters downstream. But both of these meters have strainers, and in these sizes they're integrated, so you can't get them without the strainer, I believe, in those sizes. Oh no, I'm wrong, because it says here you can on the T2. It has 2-inch without strainer. But with the strainers, usually I think it's 5 and 5 upstream and 5 downstream.
And how's the strainer service?
Well, it has a flange on the top, and you just pull that flange top and then just clean that if you have
So
to.
there's no valve to blow it off.
No.
Service it easy.
Yeah, and then what happens, on the C2, everything has strainers. But it's well water, and this, you're not going to really have, I don't think, any issues with any solids, because you shouldn't anyway, I don't think. That well's been in service for quite some time.
Well, I think this would be a good time to question our new operator on what his opinion is.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
I know we thought of it sooner.
Yeah.
Do you guys see issues with or without the strainer? I mean,
The fact of the matter is, I'm not sure. If it's a sediment strainer, if sediment is your biggest concern, chances are you don't have a lot of sediment coming through. You got a screen at the bottom of the well anyway.
Right.
right. Yep.
And so, I guess my biggest concern would be the amount of iron that may
Right.
begin to precipitate out in that strainer and clog it up.
That's
You
kind of
think
what I
that
was
little
thinking.
iron
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Aaron, Megan.
The other option
So it
is
could
you can
be-
buy it with the strainer and pull the strainer out of it. And if you ever decide you have to add it, you can always put it back in.
That may be beyond my labor grade. That might be your engineers.
Well, anyway, here's the difference. With the strainer, 17-inch laying length is the A dimension. Without the strainer, it's 10 inches.
And what's the dimension of the one we have now?
I don't recall. I'd have to look it up. But you had a AWWA. It was a C160 census turbine, I think. And I think I'd have to look that up. I didn't.
We definitely don't want it any bigger than the one that's in there.
Well, but you're not going to put it in where. What you're saying is you don't want to put it in where.
We don't want to, but we
Yeah,
may.
yeah.
It may be happening for the time being.
Well, this 10-inch is very favorable. And I guess my point is, I think the strainer is stainless
And if we
steel.
put it in somewhere else, we can always put a strainer in that has a blowdown
Yeah.
that's serviceable. You know what
So
I'm
the
saying?
strainer screen is stainless.
I don't like. You got to shut the system down to clean the strainer. I don't like that. I just
Well,
have a regular.
not only
sidewall
that,
strainer. You open the valve, flush it out every so often, and
The strainer's going to take out the big material. It's not going to. So right. So it's not like it's a raw water intake. Okay. So yeah. But anyway, that's what I came across, and I brought that information just because. And Ed is correct with the low flows. That's really not an issue here because we are monitoring or metering the well output, not necessarily what's coming out of the bladder or hydropneumatic tanks. So
so I guess we got to take an action on that right now.
yeah, we can. I don't know if who you'd want. Well, we'll go back to that. I don't know if you want Lawco to install this or Eichelbergers or who you would want to install this. We didn't go that far yet because we would need to.
Well, we need to make a motion that we buy this thing
Yeah, right.
and get it here.
But as far as who installs it and what needs to be done, do we put it inside or do we do a separate pit or make the well pit bigger to try to incorporate it in that? I mean, we'll have to look at that and
Correct. But I'd like to buy that this year. Get
Yeah.
it on this year before we go next year. You know what I'm saying?
So
Will the inaccuracy of the current flow meter change the restrictor that you need to install?
no, because what the restrictor is based upon is the size of the pipe it's going to go on and then the orifice size to say how much flow rate can go through that. So, for example, if they accept our 4-log calculations with the 4-log piping that's in place with the length of the pipe and the diameter of the 4-log pipe, what I calculated was about 65 gallons a minute. Okay?
I just wondered.
Yeah. And so with me generating the email that I sent out with the 4-log calculations in the pipe and the entry point, I sent that to Mr. Shaw and to Mr. Nesmith, trying to say, hey, this is what we have. We're documenting it as such. accept our calculations as what at the 65 gallons a minute, which is good because you're going to be able to put more water into those hydro-pneumatic tanks, at 65 gallons a minute as opposed to 55 gallons per minute. Okay? If they accept this.
No point recycling as much.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, also what is we got an invoice from Lawco Incorporated for $350. I had forwarded that to the authority, and it's been issued as of today, and I guess they want paid within 30 days. So, and Susan and I talked about it. It's not on the to be approved
No,
bills.
because you didn't send it to the treasurer.
I understand. I screwed up. So anyway,
Well, we can approve payment of this
Yes.
today. and
yeah.
That's true. You
sign
could,
it
Okay.
later. That's
I
not
would
an issue.
suggest you do that, and then I can cut the check and get these guys to come in and sign it. Use their little stamp.
So, okay. So there's two things I think that we need to have authorized. If you want to purchase the meter from LB Water, the census meter, or and also the payment of Lawco Incorporated.
Susan, how much is that?
$350.
Move to pay Walco $350 for services rendered.
Second.
Regularly moved and seconded to pay Lawco for services. All those in favor? Any discussion? All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, you gave me his.
Okay, the next one's gonna be the meter. We'll go with, I'm gonna say we're gonna wanna go with the 10-inch meter. And a trim kit or whatever it's gonna take to make that fit where it's at.
And we,
Price on that one, Randy?
well, that's about $1,200 is what he quoted.
That's the
It's-
one, that's the one
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought.
Do you remember what we
Is that
paid
the
for the one
T2?
we put
Yeah.
down in Dimers? That was a 2-inch meter, I believe.
I don't remember. I mean, we may have size restrictions on this too. I mean,
Right.
first thing is
I-
we need to measure first to make sure this is gonna work,
Exactly.
okay?
That's what I was just going to say is I want to make sure it's going to work, whether it goes in the chamber or we do a separate meter pit, because like I said, that Mueller might,
I mean, we can put this meter in for now,
yeah,
keep record of it, and if we end up changing it.
right. We can always just move it.
We can always move it.
Yeah,
Later on, fill
exactly.
this pool and move it.
Right,
I just need to get it, I'd like to get all this stuff in and get it working.
exactly.
And see, that way we got DEP taken care of.
Well-
The more stuff we got in there, at least we know it's in there, they know we're making an attempt.
Exactly.
If we move it, that's immaterial.
Well, and that's what I think too, because they're going to want you to act quickly on this because it's inaccurate. And I wanted to get your authorization to forward that report from Lawco to DEP to tell them, to keep them in the loop, because I think that's going to build credibility and a good public relations between the authority and DEP that we found this issue, it was reading high, it's kind of going along the lines we thought it was, but then they're going to want you to act on, hey, get that meter replaced, because you have to show that you're doing, it has to be accurate. Whether it's reading high, that's a good thing, not that it was reading low, and we were putting more water into the system than what it was reading, but it's still an issue.
We need to get them off our backs.
Yeah. So I'd like you to give me authorization if you so see
Do
to.
you make a motion?
No, but I can, I'll make a motion for that, to buy the meter, as long as it fits in within the.
Okay.
Okay, there's been a motion, do I hear a second?
I got a second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
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 Elmer seconded it, or?
Yeah, Elmer seconded.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've been here since 1996, and you've got me so confused. Way at the back of the lot, there's something.
That's the well.
The
That's a well pit.
in the
That's the well pit.
Yes.
Now, when you're talking about, you don't want to go down into something, you're talking about underneath the metal garage
Yes,
door.
Yes,
What's going in there?
meter.
The meter, this
The meter.
meter here.
Yeah. this
Okay.
meter. okay? The
You're
other
replacing-
thing is gonna go in the other one, the restrictor.
The restrictor goes down the bottom of the lot.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, this all may go in down below if we decide to make some changes. We're
Right.
not sure what's all gonna happen
I
yet.
understand.
If we need more space, then you might as well move everything down there and put it in a pit. And
put a
then,
wooden
if
box.
there's anything else that we need to add tanks and change treatment stuff, it's all down there, we can put it anywhere we want on the whole site.
Yeah, but they want us to get rid of the pit down there, don't they? Well,
No,
If-
they want us to fix it. They want you
They
to
want us to modify the
And that's
pit,
the
yeah.
purpose of
Yeah.
maybe putting this bigger pit in there.
Yeah.
The service pit, similar
Yeah.
to what we
Right,
did with
right.
Dimers, okay?
I know you're-
We
yeah.
could be trying to upgrade something to make these people happy.
Well, those were
By
part of the
accident, maybe.
inspection report comments.
Oh, God.
Is there any- anything-
I'd like to move that we authorize Randy to send that report to DEP.
All right.
I'll second that.
Everybody just seconded, motion's been made and seconded for sending a report. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We'll get that signed in, Susan.
Okay.
Yes, well, I'm gonna pass it right down to you because,
Okay.
you can sign it and next week when Helen's back, we'll have it done.
Yeah, and just let me know. You can either stick it in the mail, or if somebody's up here, we'll
Would
get
you
it.
like me to do a little bit of fishing and see what kind of valves I can?
Yeah, if you want. I mean,
I don't like trampling your toes.
No.
You
Hey,
know,
this is.
I need it.
I talk to, I got a lot of vendors we deal with.
Well, no, and
I can turn around and talk to my purchasing agents down there, and they have the ability to come up with stuff that might blow
well,
over our
and
minds.
it's all contingent when you do these web searches on what you call something,
Yes,
and what you think it should be called, it might be called something totally different, or it's close but not close enough.
Yep.
And by doing some additional research today, I found something. Again, it's Atlantic UV. It's for a ultraviolet disinfection system where they put a flow regulator on it. But getting that 60, 65 gallons per minute in a 2-inch. See, what happens is you can get all these fixed orifices on smaller diameter piping. Once you get above an inch and a quarter, then it's really, it's really hard. Where then you got to almost go to these flange, and you get these little insert plates, and that becomes more cumbersome, maybe special order type of installation, and then depending on the materials, it might require NSF approval or lead-free, which is part of NSF. That's part of the DEP regulations.
sign there too.
And then the space available to put that all in, it's, we're having,
I signed 2 places on this, right?
Yeah,
Randy?
yep,
Okay,
yep,
Okay,
yep.
that's what I thought.
Oh, I thought Helen did.
well, Helen has to notarize it, but I think Henry's name goes in twice.
Yes, that's the way I see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and dated, above on the first box. Sorry, I'm monopolizing all that.
No. That's why they pay you the big bucks,
Yeah.
Pass that back.
for your knowledge.
Okay.
Okay. So if you can get Helen to notarize that, just let
Right,
us
I
know.
got the note right here.
Got it. All right. Then there's the water supply inspection report back done in March. That's pretty in-depth, and that might take some time to get through. But, I think we need to address quite a few issues that keep DEP,
That's for March?
from March of last year,
2014 or 15?
March 10th, 2015.
That's including taking care of that well pit, et cetera.
Yeah,
et cetera. That's what
yeah.
I'm trying to say. We may want to look at that all at the same time. here.
Exactly.
It
And
may be cheaper to do it all together than,
why don't I looked at these and went over them, and
What's must and what should?
well, there's deficiencies and then there's violations, how they categorize
That's
things.
two different things.
Yeah. I think Ed said he took care of the piping gaps and holes.
Now, that was the blow off. I said there was, the only other thing that I knew of that was actually a violation is, according to her, was the caulking of the wire and the drop for the level pipe in the wellhead seal.
Yeah.
Everything else in that pit was a suggestion.
Well, it says the overlapping watertight cover to prevent surface water and vermin from entering the well pit. It needs to have that, an overlapping, so,
Oh, well, I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah,
I
so
got
there
it.
are some issues here, but you know, I think you plug.
Oh, that was the lid
Yeah, that's the lid.
on top.
Yep. And then they talk about some sediment and things in your chlorine solution tank and in the injection discharge pump piping and things like that. And so I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to go up to the site sometime here soon and take another look
Yeah.
and see what I think needs to be done to address these, if whatever Ed hasn't already addressed, you know, and then make a suggestion to you guys. Okay, is that all right? Because there's a lot.
If you're
You
going to
know
do that
what's
by the end
must-
of the year, give me a call.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe I can, things are a little bit calm at the present moment.
Yeah.
So we January,
So I think we killed this one pretty much. Moving on, the Michael Ward project. The contractor installed the HDPE DR11 pipe as required by you guys, and that was conducted on November 17th. Brian Lees from our office was on site and observed the installation. They thought it was going to be the 17th and the 18th. They got it all done in the 17th. He said everything looked good. We just didn't hear anything back from them as far as completing the remainder of the work associated with the project. So that's, you know, and yeah, that's kind of par for the course. So I don't know what the remainder of the work, or when that work will be performed. So haven't been notified of when that
Okay.
by MW2 or any contractors.
With that being said, come January 1st, we have a payment plan from him that is going to be implemented, that he agreed and signed and notarized and everything else. Am I correct? This is something that we have the ability to sink our teeth into. Am I correct?
Yes, yep. That's you allowed for installment payments and you deferred the first payment to January. I'm not sure what, it may be not the first, but whatever.
But what I'm trying to say is if he reneges on this, say it's due to the end of the January, come mayor of state meeting in February, we can take legal action against him.
Yes, if he defaults in payment, then you can declare the full amount of that balance due and payable immediately.
And we got we have more strength in that than what we do with the ready to serves and all the other stuff.
Yes, I would say you do. Yeah. Bigger number.
And
Would you think it would be to our interest to send him a reminder letter informing him that there is a payment plan coming up?
Yeah, I do. Should I do that?
I think it would be best interest if you do it.
Yeah, I think it would be a better.
And I
approach.
think it would be a good suggestion to remind him that he is behind on his ready to serve payment,
Yes.
okay?
I did file a lien for that, but I don't think he hasn't made any payments. Okay.
No, he probably didn't even pick up probably didn't pick the letters up.
How much work is left to be done?
well, they still need to get the pumps, the grinder pump installed.
Oh.
I don't even know if it's been
There's
delivered.
nothing done.
Yeah, they got the piping,
All they did is take the pipe from here, pipe to here,
Yeah.
it needs connected to our main, and it needs hooked up into their service.
and they need to put the pump station, the grinder pump station
I mean,
in.
Is it a
They've
day's
got,
work? Or?
they got a week's worth of
Oh,
work
week.
there.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
if they do it right, you could probably do it in a week,
I would think so.
without a whole lot of trouble.
But we're running into the holidays and cold
I mean,
weather
here
and
we are,
hunting
we
and,
ran into all summer when he
Yeah.
had a chance to do it when
Yeah.
the weather was nice,
Yep.
now he's gonna end up doing it.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
faced this
Oh, yeah.
problem a year ago, that's
Yeah.
right.
So,
I mean, he meant us
Same
financially.
problem
every
here.
excuse.
Yeah, but I mean, financially, we squared ourselves up, started the year straight and all new, and this is all went out in 12 months.
yeah.
Yes, it's almost a 12-month cycle. But now we got an agreement with him that we can do something with.
I'll
So,
get him a letter.
send him a letter, remind him about his ready to serve that he's behind on, because he should have been paying by now.
Do it all in capital letters.
Okay?
All right.
and tell him if he has any problems, he needs to come to our next meeting. Okay?
And one other thing I'd like to address while we're here, and the phone people are here, I'd just like to include you guys on any correspondence too on what we're, because you guys are now the operators, but I want to make sure I get it to the responsible party there. Is there any one of you that would want to?
Well, how are you going to communicate it?
I was thinking emails.
Well, then you send it to Phoning's email.
Yeah.
Okay. And the phone number there that's listed?
I'll give you the card.
Okay, well, it has 717-761-5208.
Correct.
That's good. And just foaminc@verizon.net. Doesn't have to be addressed to anybody specifically.
No, just
Okay.
subject line and know what it is.
Yeah, because I wanted to, but I didn't know who to contact, because I know we were trying to get that meter thing.
Well, actually, we appreciate that you brought it up because we were going to mention it tonight, that we really need to be apprised of what's
Well, I
going on.
want to keep you apprised, but I know but I didn't know who to
We need
contact.
keep you involved in all this at all times.
Exactly.
You know, we have to be involved in it.
Yeah.
But the more important thing is, and I'm out of order here in the meeting agenda, but, you know, it's a difficult situation for you right now because Ed's been so involved for so long with all things going on. You've got this consent order and agreement you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have the boots on the ground knowledge over the last 25 years that everybody who's grown up with the system has for longer. And, you know, being able to establish really good lines of communication with this board and with Ed. Ed's been very gracious in dealing with us, and we appreciate that. And we certainly want to be in, we want to know what's going on because if somebody makes a phone call, they're going to call off.
Yeah, that's right. And not that I was trying to cut you guys out of the loop. I just, with the consent order and with the DEP inspection report back in March, we knew what the items were. And I've been conversing with Ed or Henry or whoever, or try to Sam, just trying to coordinate and get things to work that they know what the issues specifically are. But I do want to keep you in the loop because you are now the certified operator. Yeah. So there was no intention to cut you out,
We
but
just need to have knowledge of what's going
Exactly.
on. We will be as involved as, you know, we need to be.
yeah, because I even went on trying to search you guys, and I couldn't find any real direct link because I searched phone. I even searched facility operations maintenance on the internet.
We hired one.
It wasn't coming up, you know, and I thought, well,
Maintain a minimal internet.
I took that as as what the case was because I thought, wow, you know, so that's why I brought that up now.
Use that
Yeah.
email address that everything could go there.
All right. Yeah. So you're in Fieldstone Drive. That's out in. That's in. Is it still Silver Spring?
Behind Carver Valley High School.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking that was Middlesex at that point.
There's a field stone over there.
Okay. All right. All right. I know where you're at.
Okay, anything else from the engineer? Just keep DEP up to breast and try to keep them happy.
Right, and once we can try to develop a schedule of when the meter will be replaced, and then when we can get a flow restrictor that they review and accept, we can then develop the schedule to get the that installed. And then I already submitted the calculations for the 4-log. Then we got to submit that other information as far as the application and the modules and the design engineer's design report to help, you know, supplement the information. And it's also required as part of the consent order agreement too. They requested that information. So.
Now, question, going back to MW2. Now, Dennis is going to send a letter reminding them. Where do we stand right now with DEP with that project? I mean, I know DEP's kind of dangling a different carrot at us now, but they wanted action on this whole thing and they wanted to be kept up to date.
Yeah.
Do
And
you
I think Randy's been doing a pretty good job of keeping them up to date of where it's standing and the issues and when there were.
Well, as of last meeting, I've reported that I spoke to DEP
Right.
and I told them what was happening, and I kind of threw it in their lap. I said, well, what are you going to do about this? And I got no response. And I said, you guys are part of this equation as well, where you have a consent order and they're not complying and they're not progressing to do the installation as required and connect to the authority system. And I gave them all that information. It was Sarah Wigglesworth, and I can't think of it was a gentleman who I spoke to. I can't think of his name right now. But I told them both, I said, look, what are you guys going to do about this? And it just, no response. So, and that was as of last meeting. I haven't heard anything since that time.
Do you think it might be worth our while to make contact with them again and say, on the 17th of November,
Yeah.
the pipe was run, but that was the end of the project?
Right.
Maybe they could put a little more pressure.
I'm
And
making.
explain to them that this has been a 12-month process so far to get it to where it's even at, and that's not very far.
Right.
That needs to be a reminder.
No, it's more than
12 months, hell, it's
Yeah, but
almost
it's
3 years.
12 months
Yeah.
from when we signed the agreement to make things money-wise, rolled up, cut and dried, that it should have been done within a couple time frame. I mean, you can't take 12 months to put something like this in. You could have dug it by hand with a shovel and a digging board done it by now. I'm sorry.
That's true.
I mean, let's not go back and preach about how far back. Let's just make the drop dead in 12 months. I mean, we signed agreements. He has paperwork that he was going to be hooked up and paying into it. So, I mean, it's not, it's very mute. We're tight against it. Anything else for the engineer?
I think I covered basically everything I had to say. So.
Okay. We're going to go to the operator's report, and before we go any further with that, I'd like to have Mr. Chisholm come up to the table, please.
Well, I have some, couple comments.
Okay.
Quickly for both Foam and Randy and the authority. When we thought we were going to, remember, we gave DEP a letter, non-committal letter of abandoning well 1. Non-committal. It was what we thought we were going to do. Foam needs to know that if you're going to keep well 1 as part of the project, because we thought it was going to go away with the new upgrade to the system. While it's not their responsibility to do anything about it at this point, they may need to do the testing to bring well 1 up to current levels. SOCs for the first time, VOCs, a whole litany, which is going to cost you thousands. Be aware. Have Randy stay on it. When DEP starts to push for, are you going to abandon well 1 or keep well 1, you'll have to make decisions at that time to test it to the point that it's used every day. That's what testing will require. Now, it's not Foam's responsibility to do anything except pull the tests on your behalf that Randy tells them that they're going to need to do, or their water thaw. Okay? I just want to keep you apprised that that will be coming up about well 1. Okay?
Okay.
Number 2, I submitted 2 DMRs which the whole song and dance I do every time. If you have questions on them, call me, blah, blah, blah. I have nothing to point out to you about those. And I'll continue to work with foam as much as possible for them. What do you want?
Well, on behalf of the whole municipal authority team, we got you a little bit of something. It's not much,
Well, I thank
but
you
it's
all
a
very much.
gesture. We all know
Good job,
that
man.
It's
what
been
you're
more,
looking for.
nothing in this envelope is as good as working with you guys.
Oh, but you can
Later.
make it good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ed.
No kissing.
Uh,
Thank you.
I'm sure that you're going to enjoy your free time, your freedom.
Yes, it will be nice. I also enjoy working with these guys. I have the greatest admiration for them.
Well, I'm sure they wouldn't get upset if you know when they're coming up that you could bring
Well, they haven't
coffee and
thrown me
donuts.
under
They
the
would
bus yet.
gladly eat them, I'm sure.
We have no plans of making him idle. We've already talked to him several times, and I'm sure there'll be more. He's a wealth of knowledge.
I'm not gonna hang out, I'm gonna let these guys do their thing, but I'm a phone call away for anything that I can do to help aid in this endeavor.
Okay, thank you again, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, operators report. You guys are up.
You're the author of that document.
I mean, just for a refresher, I'm Jim Delaney, this is Tom Couts, Lou Massey, we're Foam Inc., we're your operators. This is a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wasn't sure when we put this together what it is you expected, what you wanted, so we simply tried to summarize what we've done over the last 3 weeks. We indicated at the previous authority meeting that we have a pretty extensive first report. Right? Well, that report's going to be in January, covering the month of December. Over the last 3 weeks, we've spent most of our time really trying to get familiar with all the intricacies of your systems, and I think Ed, he can attest to that.
I mean, our systems, other than the one down at the Cove plant, have some age to them, and there's going to be some things that we know that's going to be require maintenance on them. And
There are a lot of moving parts.
yes, and it's going to constantly be ongoing. We know that, and you guys are familiar with that, and we're going to depend on your suggestions to make it right or improve upon it.
Right. So this is a work in progress. It will change comments. If you don't want to see it this way, we can make it another way.
Okay.
We can make it as relatively informal as you choose to have it. What we want to do is convey to you the things that are necessary for the authority to make reasonable decisions about what needs to be done to continue ongoing successful operation at the facilities, at the water, wastewater facilities.
I would like to make another suggestion. If you guys wish, we can always schedule a Saturday, and we can have once a year, and we can have a complete walk down of all the complexes. You know what I'm saying?
I was interested that we chatted a bit on the way up. When was the last time the board? I know individuals have been there, but when was the last time the board went to the facilities?
Last spring?
I don't think it was last spring. It's probably been it's probably going 2 years.
At
At least 2 years. You know what I'm
We're
saying?
trying to make it pretty, and
I mean, I think it would be nice
come
that.
and take a peek.
I mean, springtime's probably about the best time. Everybody's, a little bit more spicier, you know what I'm trying to say? You don't have to worry about the bad weather. Maybe we can schedule something. Give us an idea what would suit you guys, and that gives you 2 or 3 or 4 months under your belt to get a little bit of feelings, and then say, hey, listen, this is the directions that unless you got something very, very important that needs to be fixed or repaired, then a couple of us can show up and discuss it or whatever. It's not a big deal.
Our thoughts really were, you are the owners of these facilities.
Yep.
We're not the owners, we're just your hired hands to make sure they are operated and maintained correctly, you know, as Ed did. And we would just like to reacquaint the board with what's there and what's going on, and so that over time, you know, you can see, you know, where your efforts, our efforts, and your money goes when things get done. That's all. So it just seems to be a reasonable thing, and it would probably be something we would like to schedule in the spring. As for the facilities themselves, we've only got results back from the first set of samples that were analyzed in November. We didn't get the second set back yet, but everybody was meeting their parameters on the water side and the wastewater side. Things look good. We had a couple little things, some operational things we needed to address that were not anybody's fault. They were, you know, we had to clear out some return lines, that sort of thing. And we're just kind of getting things in order and really becoming aware of where things are, what you've got, how it works, and really that's all we wanted to say in this report.
One thing I will notice is I think we've reduced it, but I don't think we've eliminated it. I do still think we have an odor issue with the Cove plant, because I know when I come up, I come up the road.
We just came up tonight. We
Yes,
knew where it came
you
from.
hit the idea spot at the right time.
We have some preliminary ideas of what may be causing
Okay, it's
that,
there,
and,
but
and Ed's also, he's aware, but it's
Right.
going to be one of these things that will appear in that next report that need to be done, and Ed even knew they needed to be done, and it's just a time to do it and schedule and do it, and we think we can.
But you see a lot of the temperature changing, the hot and cool, and that's when it really shows up. And when the temperature
inversion, that cool air drops down, it pushes it right down the.
You couldn't have put a treatment plant at a more worse place for that purpose.
We can't say that we can make them all go away, but we think we can reduce.
Correct. And I noticed that because I come up through it's earlier now than what it is normally, and I'm coming up through at a different time, and it kind of just catches me.
You'll excuse my expression, but I've done this for a long time, and I have to tell people shit stinks.
Oh yeah, I mean you can only.
I've had people stand, the plant. It has the raw material that comes in and
Yep.
the finished product that goes out. And there's the in between.
Yep.
And if you operate it properly, it really shouldn't stink in between at the end. But you can't do much about the material that gets there.
Right.
You can mask it. You can try to hide it. You can spend a whole lot of money to get rid of it. And it just becomes something where you have to say, how much money do I want to throw at this?
And you can't afford enough perfume to put on it.
Yeah, well, that just makes it
Not
smell
enough
worse.
lipstick in the world.
But Ed did a good job when he was there, we have to say that.
It's not as strong as what it used to be. I will say that. I do know that, but I've been catching it here I'm coming up through there just at the right time, and it's got my attention for the last 3 months, really.
Sometimes
blame it on the river right now.
Yeah.
Or the car wash.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Because when you go in and wash your car, it just smells the same.
So with respect to this particular report, memorandum, operator's memorandum, anybody has any comments, you've got our email address, you can certainly send them to us, what you want to see, what you don't want to see, and we're glad to address that. We're here to serve the authority, and we'll do that to the best of our ability.
Well, we would like to have maybe some help on our complaints for the Sunshine Hills water situation. I don't know if you have someone that, we get problems with iron and manganese, coming through the system and so on and so forth. And I think you have a certified water operator part of your. We were hoping maybe you could give us some help in how to deal with some of these situations. Maybe even recommendations for individuals, for treatment on their system, that sort of thing. There isn't much, we can do. Much we can do up there right now because we don't have the money. But maybe there's somebody who has some fresh eyes can help us out.
I'm sure he'll have some pointers that he could offer residents individually.
Yeah, there may be some things at point of use.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're thinking. So we could really use some help in that area.
Here, I'll give you guys my cell phone number and stuff. If you need anything, it's on the back.
Okay.
And that's my contacts up on the front pages for
Okay.
when I were at work, okay? I've got 30-some years there, so I have a pretty good background if you guys want to say anything on piping-wise, suggestion-wise, stainless steel piping, anything you might need. I can probably, on an emergency, pretty adaptable for you. I can probably help a lot there, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's really what we wanted to say tonight. And, I'm certainly available to answer your questions anytime. Always available by phone, email.
And you might get a surprise visit when you're at King Core one of these days.
That's okay.
Because I caught you the other day down there, but you were locking the gates and leaving instead of opening up and going in, or I'd have probably stopped and said hi.
It gets lonely.
Yeah, it does get lonely. I thought maybe you said you stopped because there was a complaint of some operator being loud and yelling.
The only thing I
Well,
will
they
tell
dropped the
you,
grate in and
the only thing I will tell you is
He knows
there's,
Arabic, and
yeah.
I was speaking it well the other day.
In the winter time, heavy
See
snows.
Ed.
See Ed.
Thanks.
Heavy snows and stuff, they're not really shoveled or maintained, so I'm just giving you a heads up on that, you know?
We're assuming that.
Okay, I mean, every now and then I've ended up, the Queen Core plant, I'll stop, I'll feel froggy with a snow shovel, but then I'll shovel a path in or out if I see it if I get it before it gets crusty and hard.
We thought Sam would have
Well,
it taken
Sam
care of.
promised us that he would take care of all that.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he
The
indicated.
township
New
used
four-wheel
to,
drive truck, don't you have a hitch in the front? Don't you have a plow in the front of it?
What's that now?
Don't you have a plow in the front of that truck?
Yeah.
So the township
I'll
is
use
not
my
real
snow
cooperative with the.
well, the township
authority?
would probably plow they used to, I don't know what's gonna happen anymore, but they used to make sure there was a place to pull off and park and everything else, and, we'll see where that all
I guess we
goes.
gotta be sweet to him if we can.
Not necessarily. I think we gotta be sweet.
We gotta, there's some transitions going on there, so we'll see where this all goes too, so.
That's been an issue in every municipality, I think, at one time.
If it becomes a problem with us, we got other alternatives to get you accommodated, I can assure you. Might cost us a little bit, but we have the ability. So, okay?
Very good.
Anything else for us?
We have.
All right, now we're going to number 3. Mr. Ox,
It's there.
how about coming up in front of this board?
It's your turn.
It's your turn.
Sit down.
I give you a drum roll, but I'm no good on the drum.
This is my last report too.
Well, that's the purpose of it. There's a little token of our appreciation, you know. I'm sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't you be handing me that shit.
I know we're still gonna have to put up with you, stay to meeting nights, but that's, you know, that's a different subject.
Thank you.
We can sneak out if there's nothing.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank
We'll
you.
do
Have a good
our
holiday.
best to make sure you guys are not, this will be, this time maybe sooner, do our best to try to get you in here and get you out if you're gonna come to the meetings.
That's not a problem.
Well, it probably won't be all 3 of us. but-
Correct,
Well, you
understand
may
that,
see
but-
1, 2, or 3. It's-
Yeah, it depends on what we're
Could be
doing
the
or
Three
where we're headed.
Musketeers, could be the Three Stooges, you never
Jim.
know.
Good night.
All right, night.
Give me a call on that.
I will.
When- okay.
I got yourself.
Yeah. I got nothing here on that, nothing out of the ordinary.
What was the problem with the duplex grinder pump? The E1 at 4101, 1401.
4101.
Said it was facial wipes,
Yeah.
but that's non-existent, so I have no idea what could be in there. You got one person using that system.
That's yours. Is that the one?
That's
saying?
Mother's.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, that's all was all in there. And I don't know. And, cause hey, the other ones are pretty much the same. And water meter, replaced a couple water meters. There's not too much in.
Now, I will add something to that. Now it's about 2 weeks ago, I guess, when I talked to Jody. One morning the light was on, early. The alarm light was on. Wasn't making a sound.
Should have been.
It wasn't, I know. So later on, probably about an hour and a half later, the alarm sounded. And then it all shut off. I called him, and he got there and everything's off. So he's even baffled on that. So.
You might have some strange electricity running around down there. No, I'm not serious. No. Sheets. Whenever they had their pumps in there, they had pumps in there. They were running like I think it was 208 volt in there for a while, instead of the 264 volt. They were running 200. We had to put special transformers, or they had to put special transformers on there. So there may be something to do with the electricity that's in that area there. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it should affect all of them in the immediate area.
I would think it would. I would think it would, but you just don't know if it's coming off of that transformer. Maybe that transformer's doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Grease and grit chambers at RBS were checked. I see I put that down twice.
Probably were there twice,
Yeah.
or you forgot.
Yeah. And the generators, for Stevenson's did the work on the generators and got them up to snuff.
Do they need topped off or anything, or for our normal maintenance that we normally do for the year?
They probably would not hurt to top them, for the winter. Get them before the snow comes in. That way they can get it squared away. Probably wouldn't hurt to have that done.
Is it the wish of the field out the way we normally do it?
I would like to suggest, as the field representative, that we contact the our what do you want to call her? Our supplier to put the diesel fuel in the generator. Yeah.
You guys want to make that happen? Who's going to contact them?
I will.
You like talking to her anyhow.
It's yeah, pain in the butt.
But that should turn around and take care of everything for the whole winter.
I would think, yes.
It's almost a once a year thing, really.
Yeah, really. Because the only time they run them is pretty much on their test
cycle.
And they don't run them that long. And I took a water meter down to the Curlin property. Everything has been connected down there. It's winterized, so they're not going to be using anything. But we got a new water meter on it, and Karen was appraised of what the reading was on it.
Is there bathroom facilities in that place?
I never inside it, don't know.
There weren't.
Because it looked like
Used to have a porta potty out back.
Yeah, I understand that, but evidently it's roughed in for something because they hooked up to something 5 foot outside the wall.
I've never been inside it. I don't know. That's this gentleman here from Panoni.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I kind of assume that there's going to be something in there. It might not have. I mean, the floors it might all be roughed in on the floors.
Yeah.
Right.
And nothing's hooked up yet. But.
And while we are on, I don't have anything else on my report. Anybody have any questions for it? Mm-hmm. All right. While I'm on that, before I get off of it, there are a few things here that I do that foam that are not going to do, and I have a concern with that because I'm not going to be around to do them after this month. I'm not doing them.
Okay.
All right.
Sit on that for after a while, soon.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for the field representative report? Master meter report.
Good report, Sam.
For the master meter reports, they've been doing them. And they can't make any head nor tail out of my stuff, so I'm gonna have to go over them again, put them on my stuff, and then Jim and I are gonna get together and we'll go over it. As far as I know, there's nothing out of the ordinary going on there.
Okay. Penn Township Supervisor's report. And nobody here. Treasurer's report. Delinquent accounts.
Nope,
You
Dennis.
forgot Dennis.
Hang on to Dennis.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dennis, I'm moving on too fast. Yeah, Dennis, yeah, you want to get in there too. You're
Mr.
probably going to talk
Mr.
about.
Chairman,
I'll try to be fast.
do we need Randy?
So I don't think we need him anymore, do we?
I won't for anything, I don't believe.
I'm looking down over here, I don't see nothing else, no business or new business.
Okay.
I'm gonna say we're pretty good with you, Randy.
Thank you very much, and everybody
Be
have a
careful
great
going home,
holiday.
sir.
Yep.
You too, thank
Yeah,
you.
watch
Yeah.
out for the deer jumping across
I hear
the
you.
road.
Yeah, it's that time of year. But everybody have a great holiday, and
Same to you, Randy.
Thank you.
yeah.
Same to you.
So, all right, folks, and I'll get. I might be coming up in the next week or so to take a look around. So you want me to contact you?
You prefer in the morning or afternoon?
Whatever's best for you.
Generally, I'll be able to slip out of work after I'm there, so it's,
Okay.
sometime after 9 o'clock kind of works good for me,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
Drop me a line, if I say yes, I'll say yes or no, it's just as
So
simple
after
as that.
9.
After 9, just drop me a line, maybe I just go in late too, it don't really matter,
Okay.
okay?
All right. We'll see
All right.
y'all.
All right, see ya.
Good job, Mike.
I'm assuming we may need a key to get in up there too, or does he have one?
I'll take care of it.
Take
Call
care.
me.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Dennis.
Last month, I think I mentioned the McPherson estate property, which was one that we were having trouble collecting funds. I was scheduled for a tax sale. Contacted the Tax Claim Bureau. It did not sell because someone paid the delinquent taxes. So I've now written to the lender directly instead of the lawyer for the estate, and advised the lender that we're going to move forward. Do they want to address this?
Which one is it?
The tarp.
43.
43.
Mm-hmm.
So I will report back to you. If I don't hear anything from the lender, then it's going to go on the sale list. Last month, I also, unrelated to delinquencies, but if you recall, I think Mr. Harbath was here
No,
at the meeting. Wasn't he here?
no,
No.
no, he
Talked
just,
about it.
We
He's-
talked about
yeah.
it, okay. He had an issue with his water quality, and I believe expected or requested the authority to reimburse him for the cost of whatever kind of a filtration or treatment system he would need to install. We didn't take any action on that, and I think did we have three members last month?
yes, what I think was that they would just wanted somebody made an aside that you as a solicitor should just send him a letter saying that the authority is looking at different ways of rectifying the situation.
We haven't, I simply told him that we
Okay.
hadn't addressed it yet. And,
Yes.
the board I would respond to him in due course. So I don't know if you want to discuss that or not. I guess it got a little complicated because if you're going to provide something for him, then
Yeah.
where do you,
Where do you draw the line?
exactly, then you're setting.
Because there's
something
people do have
precedent.
some stuff on up there they put on themselves.
Question
filters and
question
whatever.
I have. I know he's probably turned around and drawn excessive amount of water already to try to flush his system out. Have we gave him a break in that form already?
Oh, he takes those breaks.
Yeah. Okay.
He just, when I didn't even realize sometimes it was happening, he just crosses out his amount and puts down his usual amount. And yeah, he gets breaks.
Well, then,
Okay, you see, that's what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he flushes it, he
There's certain things that we can adjust that
Yes.
will not set a precedence if we're
Right.
careful
Yeah.
here.
Right.
Okay? I don't mind giving him, if there's something really bad for a month,
Yeah.
you know, turn around and exclude it, reduce it, whatever, but I think that's about the maximum distance we need to go.
I agree.
I don't disagree at
Okay?
all.
If he's the one that's already taking matters in his own
Well,
hand.
he does that when he flushes, but
Okay.
that doesn't, whenever he's got the bathtub full of it, I don't know what happens.
Well,
Now,
but I
this
mean-
gentleman's going to, somebody on there, didn't they say something about they would talk to him about what can be done?
Well, then there maybe something will come of that, yeah, that you could.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, as far as us giving him something that we are not gonna give somebody else, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, other than a discount or a break on his water, you know, that's about the best you can probably do.
If there was a reason that his situation could be differentiated
Right.
from everybody else's,
Right.
then maybe I would have a different feeling about it. But absent that, I think you'd be traveling down
yep,
a
I agree.
unfortunate
Yep.
path.
Yep.
Well, I
But
think
I
Ed
would-
said, though, that his was a different situation because of where he sits. He's down at the end.
Well, you got,
I'm at the
he's
end.
at the end.
Okay.
and There's
All
always,
right.
there's a bunch of people at the end.
Yeah,
down
I
there.
think that was, yeah.
So,
Okay.
you know,
Did he ever indicate that he had anything on the system, even a common filtration, you know, the cartridge filter? I mean, I change mine about every, you know, that many.
Yeah.
well, yeah, you know, I don't know what else we can do.
Well,
At this point, you know,
I will,
maybe somebody can give us some ideas, you know, from this new batch, but,
But we talked about maybe their water guy
Right.
could come up with something maybe at the top of the hill that could be relatively, that was mentioned, I think, last month. But that hasn't
no,
been addressed, obviously. But you're right, Poke, it's probably, they need to come up with maybe some ideas.
Yeah, and if his problem is something that others that you've indicated, you're another that has the problem, or if it's just a matter of degree that would differentiate him maybe slightly from other people in the system, that I just don't know that you
yeah,
want
if
to.
we're making some adjustments already, I think that's
Yeah,
about the most we can do.
well, I don't need you to take action. I mean, based on your consensus, I'll just write him and tell him that the authority's not willing to reimburse any costs. Is
I
that-
mean, he's pretty much on the minimum water usage anyhow, am I right? Or is he,
Well, you
No,
no?
I think his bill's around 88.
So the best we could do would be lower him down to the next level.
Well, if he has a problem flushing, you can tell, you know, like you can write a note to him
Yeah.
and say, you know, like he's been doing. And she can adjust the bill.
Yeah.
I think that's the most we can do. Oh, really, that's my opinion.
Well,
It's
that's-
just if he doesn't have a basic cartridge system on there, put it on. I mean, it's not that tough to put on.
And it's how about expense-wise? Not.
No, they're not expensive.
Yeah, all right. Well, I will let him know.
Cartridges run about $10, $12.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Depends on what you buy.
Yeah.
Right, which kind you get.
You put that on right after the water meter.
Which one?
Let me ask you, I see an possibility of an executive session for your old business. I have a matter I'd like to address in executive session if you're going to be taking one.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
So do
let
I,
me-
so, yeah.
Okay, so then let me defer that. And the final thing I guess I have would be delinquencies. We only have one, as I say, a number of people that I had listed, I think 3 or 4 of them have paid the lien that we had executed on. There's one left for the sale, which is Crater. A guy has contacted me a couple of times who would like to buy that property. You know, and all I did was said, you're gonna have to talk to the foreclosing lender because, you know, there's other issues, so I can't help him with that really. I can tell him how much is owed on the property for sewer, and that's about it. But that one is scheduled for January, and so is Smith, which is based on the mortgage company's foreclosure action. I'm going to get with Karen and report to you next month about the whole list of these and get up to speed on where everybody is, or, you know, are there people we need to pursue, or are there people, et cetera, that are making an effort. Daimler, I believe, I'm gonna look at this a little further and I'll report to you next month, but I believe I'm gonna be recommending that we make some filings with the bankruptcy court to get that off dead center. That's languishing and we're not getting any payments, and we should be. And I know his lawyer had written, their lawyer had written to them about getting the payment started. So why we're not getting regular payments now, I don't know, but I'd still have to, any action that's taken has to go through the bankruptcy court, unfortunately. But I think I'm going to be recommending that that's the course we go unless something changes here within the next month. Because that one's not getting smaller, and it's
getting big.
It's a rather substantial percentage of the total. I mean, you're talking
No,
about-
1,200 gets added on each month
Right,
for
that's
sewer.
that's a third or more of the total. The numbers don't look near as bad if that's not on there. All right?
Question I got.
Yep.
They have a lot of vacant taps up there, am I correct?
Yes.
It would almost pay for them to, if they were smart, to change that structure, wouldn't it? It would reduce it some.
I don't understand what you're saying.
If they have vacant ones up there, they're paying for something that's not of no service that's needed.
That's correct. They're being billed for 20 trailers, 20 lots every month. But we had extended that invitation to her 4 years ago to give us a list of the vacant lots, and then we were going to discuss it.
Never got back.
No.
When you say vacant,
There's
how
20
many do you think
there's-
there are right now?
There's
that-
23 lots.
Right.
20 of them are ours, 3 the borough gets.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So for years and years and years, we bill them for 20.
So of the 20 though that you're billing them for, how many do you think are actually there that are discharging wastewater? 15?
If that.
Well, when they're not discharging, does that mean somebody took the trailer out? or
Yeah.
did-
There's
so
a lot of
some
empties.
Some of them's like that, and some are.
Some are
Probably
vacant,
vacant.
some are
Couple coaches
vacant.
are vacant, yeah.
Yeah.
How are they physically hooked up? How do you hook a mobile home up to the sewer?
Piece of pipe stuck out of the ground, hooks up everything, pumps down into it.
Well, if they were to, why wouldn't they want an adjustment? Because that would be,
They never got back to us, and I offered that
I mean,
several times.
well, I'm
There's
just
a-
thinking of the disconnection process that we've talked about before, but that would be relatively simple in the case where somebody pulls the mobile home out of there, wouldn't it? I mean, it's
this way
disconnected
this
by
way
default.
there's no argue about hooking them up or not hooking them up. I agree, but I know that there's vacant lots up there that's been vacant for more than a year,
I mean,
and that's a lot of extra money that they're spending for no reason.
Well, that's their problem.
I
Well,
understand
They're
that.
it is, but we're not getting anything.
But I mean, it's making this go higher quicker and causing more issues all around the circle.
I mean, once again, we've
We've
offered the olive branch, and they
We can't
turned
do
it
it
away.
for 'em,
I
that's
mean,
for
we
sure.
can't
I
do
agree.
that.
Okay, I just
We
Well,
could
I
offer
agree
the olive
with what
branch
you're
again.
saying.
Well, let me ask
It's
this
been a
question,
number of
though.
years since the olive branch was offered.
Yeah.
We could write them a letter again and say,
Well, let me do some.
Yes.
Let me get back to you next month with some thoughts about it.
yeah.
If you were to, how do you monitor though the number of mobile homes that are physically there?
We don't.
But
That's
the
why we
problem
beat them
then,
with, that's
right?
why we just charge them
That's
the
why
20.
they just been. So even if you did say, okay, you
No.
request and we take 5 of them off because there's nothing there.
We
You're
know-
not going to know when there's 5 back on.
We know because, well, no, we don't. We used to know we would read the water meters. And so
Oh,
when we
that's
read
right.
water meters,
Now you
we
do a
knew.
single
But
meter.
now with the master meter
Right.
on,
Yeah,
Well,
thing you'll
let's-
see is the rate increase of the water usage.
Yeah, that's one way you might. All right, let me.
well, and you're going to see that pretty soon when the weather starts freezing and they start letting the water run, so.
Yep.
All right. I think that's all I had.
Did you float that balloon across?
I may be able
They're
to.
later?
Let me see how it goes.
I mean, at least he's gonna show them we're trying to work with them anyway.
Yeah. We just don't
Yeah,
want to catch
the-
them hooked back up accidentally
well,
without
that's
communicating.
the
with us.
problem.
That's the only issue, and
That is.
that's the reasoning behind all this.
Well, the lack of any effort.
But if there's
at all
5
is-
vacant ones, you add that up for the end of the year, that's a pretty good pile of money.
Sure it is. And maybe their thought is we're not paying it anyway, so I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's added to liens, or liens are filed, so sooner or later, somebody's gonna come home to roost, and maybe they'll wait and ask for relief then, who knows? But let's, I'll report to you. All right. I can't think of anything else I wanted to comment on at the moment.
And theoretically, we could monitor that. That could be something Karen would do when she
Right,
goes up and reads the
sure.
master meter. She knows which ones. She just does a little walk through or drive
Yeah,
through.
exactly.
And
You could make a note in your calendar to take a look every now and then and see
Yeah.
what's up. Yeah. As long as you're not trespassing.
no, it means stay on the street.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Then let's go to treasurer's report. I
Okay.
think we've kind of already looked at the delinquent accounts.
Yeah.
Okay, monthly invoices.
We got the final bill for the Market Street for $19,982. So that should be your last big expense with the borough.
Good.
Other than their upgrades to the plant. There were
That's
a lot
it
of
for the lines.
what?
That's it for.
That was for the
line.
Market Street.
Yeah.
That was for the yeah.
Yep.
The total for that line this year was close to 80,000. Was what our share of the line cost.
What do we have that budgeted for this year?
I think we put 100 in
Yeah.
because I was going to ask you about that later. There's still some.
On the other end,
Yeah.
shouldn't it? You got some of the O&M costs.
Yeah, we had put 100 in. Anyway, I don't know, but there were a lot of grinder pump repair bills. You'll see them in the thing. You do want to. Sam made a motion about Lawco, so we'll want to. Well, that was already voted to be approved, so I will get that check out, and then you'll just see it next month on the list.
I have a question,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I asked this before, and now I'm not sure what the answer was. Since Foam is on board as operator,
Mm-hmm.
do we still have a backup operator?
No, they haven't.
They haven't.
Okay.
Now, we're paying John because, remember, this is for, they bill in arrears. So this is for November's usage, and John still helped do, no. They bill us in arrears by 2 months. If we were paying Ed today in December, it would have been for his work in October, and that's what this is for John.
Okay, this is actually October work.
Yes,
Okay.
because the DMRs aren't due until the middle of December. And that's what John helps do each month, so.
So that's his last bill.
This is his last bill, so you'll save $1,200.
Thank you.
There's nothing out of the ordinary, other than, the Market Street, and we knew that was coming. The grinder pump repairs, they're getting old.
Yep, that's gonna be an ongoing thing
Yeah.
until they get faded out with
Right.
changers of ownership and stuff, which is gonna go for a while. So it's not
Until
gonna-
someday, yeah.
That's gonna go 25, 30, 40 years. Okay,
I'll make a motion, the orders be drawn, the bills be paid for $81,970.90.
I hear a second.
Yes, you do.
Okay, been regularly moved and seconded to pay the bills. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Okay, financial report. The good news is, as I told Sam, you only owe $5,300,000.
Oh, gee.
The bad news is you only have $223,000.
Thank you.
I do have a question. It would be on the second page, down on the very bottom corner. No, up above it where it says earmarked. There's still $20,301.19. It's the remainder left over from the $100,000 for the Market Street line. Should I just move that now over into capital reserve?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a good place to put it, don't everybody else?
Yeah, because you're gonna, I mean, you're using capital reserve is now, there is no capital reserve. You just have one set thing. We'll keep the $35,000 set aside for King Cora.
Okay, question for, the ward escrow.
Yes,
Once it gets below, so how low do we go?
500.
Okay, well, I'm assuming we're gonna get a bill off of Randy for,
Well,
or did we already get that?
I just paid there's one right here.
Is it taken out of this?
Yeah, all of the bills you approved tonight have been taken out.
Okay. In that letter to him, you may want to explain to him, Dennis, that he is within $8 of needing to refill his escrow account to the 2,500.
And be careful with the brownies because the edges are very hard.
Okay.
They got crunchy.
I mean, the money we got for the wastewater treatment upgrades, even if we don't use that at King Cora, it's going to get used up.
Right. And
I don't see, that's a good cushion there for other stuff, no matter what.
And the $75,000, you're going to be using some of that now for your DEP consent, so.
Yep. I mean, there's a little bit of extra fluff there, so to speak, but not much, I'm pretty sure of that.
No, there isn't. I had to borrow money again I had to take money out to get your operating expenses back so you weren't in the hole up on the top right corner there, so. I think most of your big bills now are paid, as you've said. You don't, and you're well aware you have no money to start tackling any new projects, so.
Okay, I hear a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the November financial report subject to audit.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Executive Secretary's report.
Now, this is what Dennis was referring to because at one time we had talked about discussing that at executive session, although I think Dennis said he wasn't sure that this is the issue on waiving penalties for people that we know are doing their hardest and the penalties are just keep putting them in further and further. For example, account 1024 was the Philadelphia lawyer who bought a house, and this guy moved in. I think it was his aunt's house or something. Anyway, he's paying it because he needed a place to live, but the amount of the penalty is taking up all of his, and he's paying more than $60 a month. He has a payment plan with Karen, and he pays every month, but the penalties are eating him up. So, and the same way with number 940. Those are the two that she's recommending based on, their loyalty, so to speak.
Now, what's this again?
All right, we have some people that are delinquent, number 940 and...
What is it?
940 and 1024. And they owe a lot of money. They're making payment plans, but what's happening is the penalty every month because the delinquency is the interest. Well, yeah, the penalty, interest, whatever you want to say, is so high that it's taking a big chunk of the money that they're paying us every month.
Bringing the principal down.
It's just hardly bringing, especially 1024 is the one I'm aware of. This guy's just, working his heart out, but he doesn't have that great of a job, but he wants to do it because he needs a place to live. He doesn't own it. That was the
He doesn't own it.
No. The number 1024 is the owner's name, but the guy who's making the payments lives there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he's living there. This guy, we had sued in court, done a number of things.
Oh,
And anyway, to get out of then whenever we took him to court, or whatever you call it, the renter said he needed a place to live, could he take over the payments? So Karen first took off all the fees, all those back fees that we've paid, and I think they're caught up now, but just, anyway. So.
Well,
if somebody like that, I would think needs some kind of a break. We've got people on here that we could give a break to if they stuck to the plan.
That's
Well,
right.
here's the problem I got with that one is, and he's not the landowner. The landowner put it in this position.
Yeah, that's a good point, really.
That's the problem I got with that one. Am I correct, Susan?
I know, that's true.
The landlord what?
The landlord put this in the delinquency,
Yep.
not the property, not the renter. Now the renter's trying to help the landlord get out of this hole.
Well, the renter's looking for a place to live.
I understand that, but I mean, you got to look at who's coming out ahead on this. This poor guy, there's no benefit. No matter what you give him, it's not helping him. Yeah, he's paying it and keeping it existent, but he's not. Am I right, Dennis?
Well, he moved in. Didn't he move in relatively recently?
I don't think so, but I
That's
don't
been
know.
on the list for a while.
No, the property owner has owned it for a long time, but I thought this tenant was relatively new. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
I thought a lot of the delinquency was accrued before he moved in. but-
Well, that's correct. You're correct.
Yeah.
You're right. Most of that was before he moved in. He's just, now whether they have some kind of an agreement between them.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, Henry.
The only
This is our
concern-
recommendation.
Right, the only concern I have is the obvious one that,
Where do you draw the line?
How do you decide?
I know.
Yeah, where it is. And I'm not saying you can't make some way of doing that.
It's a slippery slope when you start down this road.
Well,
I mean, you can take these on a case-by-case
Who do you-
basis.
and that's what she's doing.
Right, that's,
She based these two on the fact that they don't miss a payment.
I mean, I think that really is, well, and that's, maybe that's a distinguishing factor in the board's view, that when somebody establishes a plan and is religiously adhering to it, that you make these considerations on a case-by-case basis.
And when he stops adhering to the plan, it
I think
goes
that was
back.
part of our agreement, though. If they're willing to work, if they're willing to work to get it down, we're willing to work with them.
Yes, as long as it's the property owner,
Yes.
not the renter. That's.
The name on here is the property owner.
Yes, he's a Philadelphia lawyer.
He's-
He
yeah,
bought
he's-
he bought a whole bunch of properties up at tax sale.
Can
And
we,
we couldn't even find him to serve him with the execution proceedings.
Is that right?
okay,
Yeah.
that answers my next question then. Because my question would be, can we go back to where this renter moved in? And if we can find a guy that owns it, put the heat on him for that period of time.
You could do that. I mean, the liens are gonna stay on. You're protected by the lien, it's just, you're just not getting the cash, so to speak, like is the case with all these. But you could do that. You could just not enforce the lien for the difference, for the amount that this guy owed before, or we execute on the property. Of course, that forces the tenant's hand to keep his house. He's gonna have to pay it. We could not find him, and I had the sheriff of Philadelphia County from the time.
And then you get the real question: is it fair to the people to pay their damn bills all the time? Is
Well,
it
then-
fair
The guy that's paying the rent has to be sending the check for his rent somewhere.
Well, that's true.
Can that be tracked, track this guy down? I mean, I don't know if we want to get really deep
I'm
into
not
this
even
or not.
sure
He
if
could
he's,
send it to a post office box,
Well, that's
and you
true,
never
too.
know, but,
Yeah.
we could see if we could find out. That would be helpful to know, then we could.
Next time he comes in, ask him.
he doesn't come in. I think she charges, no, it's not a charge account.
I mean, this whole thing is a judgment call. It's obviously a policy decision for the board, you know,
I mean, I think we ought to try to find the owner for that one. Now, the other guy, on the other hand, we've discussed him many a times here.
How long has he been making payments?
Who?
940.
Well,
I mean,
I have to talk to her about that.
Faithfully.
Yeah, because there for a while he wasn't making payments.
Yes, you're right. And they got bailed out by the telephone company.
Yeah.
Dennis,
Yes,
that guy that we're looking for, could we contact the tax office to find out who they're sending their tax bill to?
I think I did get the address for that, I believe, and sent the sheriff there, and there was no luck. I'll double check though.
I'll have Karen find out I'll have her call the tenant and find out who he's sending his rent check
See
to.
if we can figure out where he's at.
And we'll see when he moved in.
Well, my question is, why are we billing the tenant?
Because we can't find, because he agreed to pay it. That
He
was
agreed
part
to-
of the deal.
He agreed to pay it, so
to
he
get out
wouldn't
of
lose
sheriff's
his place
sale.
to live, yeah.
There was some kind of an agreement that the authority accepted with him when that property went up for sheriff's sale. Because I remember, Dennis, you talked to him, or there's some kind of an agreement on file with him. Because it was better to get some money than no money at all.
That's not up in the bottom line.
In effect, it would probably be passed on to the tenant anyway in most of these rental situations. Well, you can think about this.
Yes.
Well, if he is a lawyer, Dennis, he can spring for 9.
Yeah, I don't know that,
Yeah.
I didn't check the,
Okay, maybe he's not.
I can look, I didn't check the, I have some sources on that I could see. I'll see what I can find out.
See what you can find out, let us know.
All right.
And we'll work on that next month.
Okay, so we'll just table it.
I mean, we can make a decision.
Something like this is easy enough for us to monitor, because as soon as, she knows who's making these payments and working their tail off. And as soon as they stop and they miss a payment, then
Here's an idea, if you would somehow keep a chart that you would apply the payments all to a separate chart. You'd apply the payments all to the principal amount due. And once it gets down to where it's only penalty left, if you follow me, or interest that's left as delinquent, then maybe come to the board and see if there would be. Does that make any sense to you?
No, because she
In other
takes the
words, after
penalties
the-
out first.
Well, but I'm saying keep a second set of books, so to speak.
well, it's not that we take the penalties out first, as Karen takes the overdue amount or puts it on the
Right.
overdues first or something, but she takes out the fees, the filing fees, and the prothonotary fees come out first.
But if there's a way to tell if they're making payments and you're applying that all to the delinquent principal balance and none to the penalties, in other words, a separate record of that,
Okay,
then when it gets down to the point that they're not delinquent on the principal anymore, and the only amount showing is delinquent is penalty and interest, that would probably be the better time for the board to consider relief, because they've caught the bill up,
Yeah,
right?
and just create a spreadsheet.
Right. I mean, it would be a administrative burden,
I
but
mean, 940 right now, where he's at right now, he's got a year and a half just paying face value. You know what I'm saying? That's if he paid his normal one plus another payment on top of it. And I'm sure he's not able to do that.
no, he's the guy, he was in touch with me quite a bit.
yeah, I'm not sure why that one's on there unless that's a typo in her part, but
He has a really low
I mean, I'd like to figure out what we could do maybe for him, but
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he has his family moved, his parents or his mother-in-law or father-in-law moved in with him to help, put the the
dual
combined.
incomes make it work.
Two combined incomes to make everything work.
Yeah, and I don't think they're all there right now anymore.
Yeah.
See, I think it's the other guy that really needs it. But I understand where you're coming from, so.
Well, and I see someone else on that list that should be considered for that same thing, but.
And that's good, so that's what we would want too, is, other.
1142, I think
Yep,
she's talking
that's
to.
who I'm talking about.
Sometimes people will get in these situations for no fault of their own. Some of these people just don't want to pay, but if somebody gets sick, really sick in the house, and the medical costs just, you pay for the drugs before you do this. And that's one way that we can help, is not by getting rid of the sewer, but by getting rid of those just penalties that are extra money, I don't know.
Let's bring that back up for next month, Susan.
Okay.
I think it would be nice if we could do something. I just don't know, keep everybody's mind fresh on it, make a decision, and, if it's something that's gonna, the idea is give us an idea of what kind of savings we would be giving them, and if it's really gonna make the end result at the end of a year. You understand what I'm trying to say? If it means that they're gonna get 2 or 3 more extra payments in, well, it's gonna help them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's only gonna help, if it's only gonna give them 1, well, then it's.
All right, the penalty is 1.5%. It's 1.5%
Per month.
per month. So
That's 18%.
let me go look at his amount. He owes, let's say they owed $2,000. It would be, $30 a month.
Yeah, so half of the monthly bills going.
1.5. I'd have to have 2 0. Move the 0 place. Maybe it's 300. Nah, it wouldn't be 300 a month. So it's $30 a month. If you owe 2,000.
$360 a year.
Yeah.
And it gets more as it goes up too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, correct.
So you're
So that would save them. That would make 6 payments. At 360 would make 6 payments for them.
Yep.
What do you think about it? Maybe we can figure something out.
You take 6 and 6 in 2 years, that's 1 year's payments. They gain a year. You're cutting everything down by basically half.
Yep.
In the long term. It does have a tendency to make a difference on $2,000. And it would be half of that for $1,000.
Yeah.
So if you had $1,000 delinquency and they paid into it, you would say it'd be $15. Right? So it does add up though. So, okay? Put that on for next month.
Got it.
Okay? Anything else for the executive secretary report? Okay, JOAC meeting, December 14th.
There is none, right? Remember
That's right.
they sat there and said unless you heard from them, there wasn't going to be one.
Yep.
Yep.
No meeting this month.
Yep.
Okay, incoming, outgoing correspondences, periodicals,
Red.
old business.
That's on there just to keep us
Yeah,
reminded.
that number 1, that'll be on it's on the sale list for January. I'm fairly confident it's gonna go, and then we'll have a lender to get to. And they know it's coming, because I've spoken to the lawyer for the lender.
Somebody's still living there.
Oh, is there somebody there? still?
There was a truck in behind there the other day. I tell you, shook my head. I said, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I thought they.
The vehicle sitting up around back parked. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, number 2, waiving of penalties. We did a discussion on that,
Mhm.
okay? New business,
Now,
26.
I got one old business here. How about the beer distributor connection? Where do we stand on that?
Oh, I've got to get them. Yeah, I was
That's
expecting
right, that
to
needs
hear
on
back
here.
from the people at Norfolk Southern, and I haven't, so I need to get back on that.
Very good, Sam, thanks.
I'll contact them and report back to you in January.
And when do you want to talk about the field representative?
Exactly.
We are going to have an executive session?
Well, Dennis needs to.
Yeah, I have.
Well, I've got, I probably should be done there too.
Okay, 2016 budget approval.
All right, we discussed it, and we've revised some of the figures. I've revised them as per your suggestions. We cut 20,000 off the operator. A few other changes, so that now we're only going to have to draw 16,000 out of capital reserve. 670,000 income, 687,000 outgo. I couldn't come up with any new income. I don't see anything happening.
I mean, even if we had half our delinquents come back and make a difference.
You got it right
You
there.
know, that would straighten that rate out.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If we got rid of that one delinquent in bankruptcy, that would put us in the good. You see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I understand.
I do believe that our delinquencies are
hurting.
starting to come back and haunt us here now, you know?
Sure.
$5 rate increase gives us how much?
That would be on your next page after the budget. $5 rate increase would give you $4,500.
Rate increase on what? Sewer and water?
Sewer, just sewer.
Sewer.
Well, annually, it would bring a difference of not about 54,000. Right now, at the 906 EDUs I just billed at the end of September. That was the last thing whenever I came up with these. The amount billed was 54,360. So anyway, times 12. So in 1 year, a $5 rate increase would give you 54,000, assuming everybody pays.
Yeah, we figured 50,000 for $5.
Yeah.
That was a rule of thumb we've always
Is
had.
your water budget a positive budget? Is that a negative budget?
And see, I didn't bring that. No, it was negative. Well, it ended. I don't know why I didn't bring the whole thing.
I think it was negative because
It was negative because
of
of the delinquencies, because we're not getting the water revenue. For the first time ever, remember, yes, for the first, but are you talking about the proposed revenue for next year? Yeah, I think so.
Well, if that's a negative budget, then why should the sewer customers be burdened with the increase? The entire amount of the increase.
Trying to think where that is, and why didn't I bring it? I just didn't give everybody copies of all of it because I thought, it won't matter. We already looked at it at the JOAC meeting.
I left it.
No, it's still on with whatever else.
I thought I had it, but I think I left last month's stuff at home.
I'm not in favor of increasing anything.
I'm not either. That's where I'm getting at.
That's,
Well,
see, that's where I'm going with this. I'm not. You know
I
my
think
feelings about the water we send up there. I can't rightfully say I want to charge more money for that water because it's quite honestly, it's not worth what we're paying for it, right, or what we're charging for it right now. All right, and I can't see putting the added burden on the sewer customers solely because we did that once before.
Well, we spent almost $500,000 now on the sewer line there, so we're not going to be spending that kind of money now.
Whatever happened to that $88,000 that we said we're going to have on a yearly basis that we based our?
Well, there's one thing you gotta look at. Our delinquencies have been going up. okay? Which,
And increasing your rates is not gonna help your delinquencies
No,
any.
but that's pretty much it. You might as well figure delinquencies on that is pretty much $5.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good number, okay? That's what's costing them, that's what it's doing. It's almost giving you a $5 cost analysis, $50,000. You know, some go down, others come in, okay? As they're going in and out and going in and out, and this thing's still going up, yeah, they're getting paid in, but there's more coming off, but different people are changing in that whole structure. So you're getting 50 back, but you're still not getting it all, and it's the way I see it. But so there's 5 there on delinquencies, okay?
Are you talking about the money, Sam, that was after the Penn loan was paid off?
Merry Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry
Yeah,
Christmas.
Bob.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, because we based that $80,000 on, we did a lot of things based on that.
Well,
Mhm.
it
You know,
just
we-
got absorbed into there.
I mean, the operational costs have been eating it up into that. Now, don't forget, we earmarked. Each year we were spending $100,000 on upgrades somewhere.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since that's been done, which is pretty much took care of that plus a couple extra bucks. Okay. And that's where we spent every bit of that on improvements and upgrades up to now. And don't forget, we spent more than that putting a water system design together.
Yep.
Okay, we actually spent 200. We probably spent 225 this year.
We had the bridge project.
Actually, we spent more than that this year.
Well, it's on your financial report.
Yeah.
How much, this is what you spent out of capital reserve. If you're just talking about this current year.
Mm-hmm.
It was only 73 on the bridge, $73. The main thing was last year. And that was a big chunk last year.
What was the big chunk last year?
The Market Street Force Main going across the bridge, I think that was close to 70,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Decovin, we did Decovin, we did
Yeah.
bridge, we did sewer lines.
Right.
We spent a lot of money in sewage.
Absolutely.
Yes. The reason that we're showing, there is a deficit on the budget for the water company, but that's because it's a matter of figures. I can guess how much money's coming in. Like for the operator, we decided to put $20,000 in for him. What if he's only $15,000? Then we're not going to have a $2,000 deficit. I didn't know how to divide up.
The deficit is only $2,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he told us what his costs were going to be, but we don't know what his costs are going to be for each category. That's the whole problem.
Okay. All right. The other question is, here's another thing that's going to happen. Hopefully, we have how many EDUs down here at Ward's?
Where?
We're going to create $600 technically
Yep.
a month.
Oh, it wore down at Decovin,
Right.
down Decovin.
Yeah, and I included that in the revenue
Okay, that's
for
included
code.
on.
Oh yeah, I included it. That's when I said, I'm including this, but I hate to do it. Because it really, you know, if it doesn't get paid.
It's skewed out.
Yeah, something's gonna have to happen if it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is part of the,
Okay.
it's included in your total under your, the proposed $664,000 includes his. In fact, your code budget is, $112,000 in the hole. The budget.
The Cove is $112,000 in the hole.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, you've got all those grinder pump repairs, and you've got your Penvest loans. Your Penvest loans kill, you know, that's $20,000 a month. So, in fact, that's almost for Cove. Your proposed revenue is $257,000, and your interest and your loans are over $200,000. The principal and interest on the loan to Penvest. So,
I mean, our capacity in that system down there is pretty large yet.
Sam, do you want to see these? I don't know why I didn't make copies for everybody. I wasn't thinking.
We could implement something towards after the 6-month increment. I don't know. My opinion, I'm kind of just sitting here like what Dennis suggesting. Maybe we want to see where we go after the first quarter. And maybe we need to increase it after that.
Yeah.
My concern is we decide to up this for $5. You're going to end up upping it $5 more the next year, because this thing's not going to go away on a $50,000 increase. It's going to be a $10 increase to make this work. It's the way I see it. $50,000 worth of generated income is not going to cover and get us out of any holes. It's only going to patch it up long enough for us to decide to raise it another $5. 6-9 months later, you see what I'm getting at. That's what I'm trying to say is either we fight it as long as we can, and then decide to raise it. We raise it $10 and be over with. You see what I'm getting at? Or you raise $5 now and you fight it 12 months and raise it another 5. But 12 months down the road, you're still going to have 10.
When you raise it $10, your delinquent list is going to be double.
I understand that.
Yeah. You're right.
You agree with my statement, Sam?
I agree. I've been down that road where we increased them,
Right.
and then
Found out we didn't increase them enough.
and then 6 months later we had to bump it again. That's a bitter pill to swallow anywhere along the way. I don't want to do it twice.
What I'd like to do is we have a spring newsletter going out.
Yes, we do.
I'd like to make note that we need to explain the importance of getting rid of the outstanding delinquencies that we have at hand, and the ratepayers working together. I mean, everything else is just coming up. Okay, we've got our increased maintenance. The system's aged. Okay, our costs are starting to go up. We have an extreme amount of delinquencies we'd like to see go down. We're doing our best to accommodate that. In the same atmosphere, we're also looking at a rate increase.
I think that
I think we need to prepare the people for putting in a newsletter that the possibility of a rate increase is coming. I don't want to blindside these people. I don't think it's fair to them.
you can do that, but I also like to have, I think, at least the people on the hill. I think we need to have a meeting with them and look them right in the eye and tell them exactly what happened, because there's people that don't know what's going on, and people that have heard rumors about this, that. I think we need to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to come to the meeting, fine, then we can stand up, we can tell them exactly what you went through here, you know.
Oh, I've heard people turn around and said if we've turned around and would have worked with the developer, we'd have a water system in by now. We did work with them.
Mm-hmm.
He backed out, not us. The people do not know what all we've tried to do in good faith.
And you're not going to explain that in the newsletter.
No, you can't, but you're not going to explain it to the people if they don't want to believe it either.
Well, then they believe what they want to believe. They don't
Am
want
I
to
right,
go
Dennis?
me.
You can turn around and tell anybody something, but they...
But I'm inclined to agree with Jim. We had a meeting to begin with whenever we kicked off this project. Now that the project has more or less died, I think we should still have that meeting to tell them why.
We can do that. I think it's a good idea.
I think it would be advantageous for us to do that.
I think the rate increase would be easier to swallow instead of them reading about it and then everybody, excuse my French, but bitching about it because we didn't have the fortitude to tell them face to face that we were going to do this. And I think that could be done in a meeting like this. We start at the top with the water system, and what happened there, go all through that, talk to them about the delinquency list, the fact that, you know, we're about to drown in that, and we need it. Because I'm the one that's going to be paying it. You're not, and you're not. Poke and I are going to be paying it. And
Oh, I'm talking about sewer, I'm not talking about water.
I know, sewer. I'm talking
We're on
about
the sewer, do you know
Yeah,
that?
I mean, he'll be paying, I'm the only one that's not gonna do that.
Yeah, I pay some.
I understand that, everybody else is
Right.
gonna be paying on that, and that's why I'm reluctant to see it go up, I really am, but I'm like with Susan. We're getting to the point we ain't gonna have no choice.
Right.
And maybe we need to send something out to the newsletter, and maybe we need to have a meeting with, I agree, a public meeting, just a public meeting for discussion of possible rate increases. See what happens.
That's my.
If it packs the place, it packs the place. That's the way it's gonna be. You know what I'm
I
saying?
would like to see every homeowner show up. They won't, but I would like to see that. At least they'll get it from the horse's proverbial mouth, as opposed to trying to.
I mean, we could even give them a copy of our outstanding delinquencies on water and,
Oh, that would be just wonderful.
you know, give that to everybody and say, look, if you cut half of that down, that guarantees us that we have a balanced budget this year. That guarantees, there's no way we can't. If you pay 50% of it down this year, 50% of it down next year, we can almost guarantee that we will not have a rate increase for 2 years.
So here's our delinquent list, go start knocking on doors.
I mean, I don't know what else you could do. That'd be the only way you could do it.
Put it in the newsletter.
Sure, as long as it's public information, publish it.
One of the things.
Why do we protect these people?
I would like us to get a web, or a page on the website. Now, right now, our minutes are going on the township's website, but I'd like us to have one where we can put like our rules and regs, that kind of thing. But, you know, post the agenda, post whatever, you know, post the financial report.
Hey, people talk about transparency. Government's not transparent enough. Publish it. You wanna see it? There it is.
I mean, because right now, I mean, if we took care of paying 50% of our delinquencies down 1 year and the other next year, we could probably pretty much get by for 2 more years without any issues. But then that's also generating extra revenue that those people, if they paid and balanced out the books and kept paying, that's more revenue than what we're seeing too, you know? So,
Well, food for thought.
all right,
Where are we?
what's our desire for the budget?
Hey, you can hold it. You don't have to. Oh, no, wait a minute. I think you're the one that said it had to be
We gotta-
approved in
we gotta approve it
December.
tonight.
December.
Motion to approve the
Budget without a.
budget proposal,
Okay.
for 2016. Overall income expense, would be a negative $16,778 to be taken from capital funds to balance the budget.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded to approve the 2016 budget as
Stated.
stated.
Remember, this is just a
Yes.
sheet.
It's a
Understand?
tool.
This
It's
is
a tool.
just.
It's a tool, okay? I mean, we could come out better, we could come out worse, but we've been pretty close on our numbers.
Well, this past year, like with the treatment charges,
Yeah.
I never thought the plant expenses would be that high.
Well, they're going into maintenance repair down there
Yeah,
too.
well, I know, but
they're
we
like,
weren't-
everything's aged.
We didn't think they were going that high, and, you know. So this could be,
Well, we don't have Duncan's big project to pay
Right.
for.
yes.
All right,
So-
it's been regularly
Yeah.
moved and seconded.
Yet,
No,
You
I'm
got
talking about
something
the
in your
sewer
pocket?
lines.
So am I. There is other joint lines down there.
Oh, is there? Oh,
Well, they're all joint, aren't they, according to the,
no.
Our
they're not
percentage.
all joint.
I'm not worried about it for
as far as
next
what
year
we have to
anyhow.
pay.
Well,
I don't
nobody
think they
nobody
can-
down there said anything about any.
Well, till they change, till you got to change into the guard down there.
They're gonna
and
change the
everything else.
guard down there too,
It's
the
gonna
same
take
as
a
we
whole,
are
it's
up
gonna
there.
take a whole year for them to figure that all out. So till that happens, it's a viewed issue. I don't bet you it's gonna take a whole year for that.
The holiday dinner,
No,
No,
hang on, I
You
got a motion on the table. Any
oh,
more discussion?
I'm sorry.
All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Budget approved. Okay, the holiday dinner, December 11th, which is a Friday, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's invited. Call Helen if you're coming and what you want to bring.
What time is that?
Probably 12.
Or give her
Oh, it
$5
was in
for, or give her $5.
Yeah, and then she does, I will not be here.
Me either.
I take mother to daycare on Fridays.
No, I'll be at work.
Okay, meeting dates for 2016. I looked at them, I don't see nothing out of the ordinary, I checked them out here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any holidays that conflict. July 4th is
That's my normal routine,
is
Okay.
on
okay?
the
That's the way I
Monday.
see it. Unless they change them, which they generally don't, they're pretty much carved in stone.
Move
So,
to,
if I get in, that's if I get an invite.
Move to schedule the 2016 monthly meetings of PTMA as the first Wednesday of each month at 7:00 p.m.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded to schedule our meetings for the first Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Any more discussion? All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Karen
We already
will,
have the JOSCs listed, right?
right, Karen, well, we haven't advertised it yet, we're gonna we're gonna do them all at the same time, so.
So you'll advertise though the
Karen's
the
going to
regular
Karen-
schedule before the next meeting.
Oh, yeah,
before the January
yeah,
meeting.
she'll do that next week now.
Well,
Remember
did you
now, the
approve the JOAC meeting? didn't you?
JOHC meetings are
Or
here
are you gonna do
this
that?
year.
Yeah,
Yes,
they're here.
I know that. Okay,
We
I'm
already made
sorry,
that
yes,
motion at
we
the
know that.
JOAC meeting.
Oh, you made it at the last JOAC, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Good,
Yeah.
We're taken
good.
care of.
All right.
We're
Yeah, we're
supporting-
And
advertising
you'll do
those
them all
too.
together. Good.
And what we're gonna do is advertise it for the JOAC that we can meet separately after that, so that
Good.
that's included, so.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, the rate increase, that becomes a mute issue, we discussed that. New water meter, we already discussed that.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to go into executive this session. Are we ready to reopen?
Yeah.
All right, we're out of executive session.
At 9:44,
What time did we go in?
9:30,
2110.
21:10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
21:10, what's that, 9:10?
910, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Military time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I catch myself
For
once
discussion
in a
of
while.
personnel matters, no action was taken. Fair enough, Dennis?
Yep. That's fair.
Looking for a motion to adjourn?
Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Pick somebody, so.
All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?